It's wild, really, when you think about it. For years, we were sold this vision of a family based on love, choice, and faith. Plural marriage in that house wasn't about hierarchy, it was about unity. But here's the kicker. The so-called picture-perfect polygamous dream the Browns sold us, not just cracked, it was carefully constructed. And the truth slips out now with every interview, every awkward couch scene, and every sideways glance. Not dysfunction, but control dressed up as cooperation. Hey guys, it's Mia, and welcome back to TLC's next chapter. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts down in the comments below, because this one hits close to home. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what really kept the Brown family together, and what finally tore it all apart. Spoiler alert, it wasn't just jealousy or the challenges of the lifestyle, or Christine suddenly turning cold. No, this collapse was inevitable, because right from the start, it was never truly equal. Now let's go back for a second. There's Kody Brown, proclaimed patriarch, running his plural household as though it were one-man show. 4 wives, each with different needs, personalities, and life stories, are supposed to function as one big, harmonious unit under his leadership. Christine, the nurturing heart, Janelle, the practical rock, Mary, the first and once favored wife, and then there's Robyn, number 4, coming in late, somehow rising to the top without anyone ever saying it out loud. But we all saw it. To anyone watching, the Browns were borderline revolutionary at first glance. They opened their lives to cameras and said, see, plural marriage can work if you do it with love and communication. And for a while, people bought it. But behind the scenes, something else was brewing. Over time, the mask slipped, and the truth wasn't in words, but in avoiding eye contact, older kids quietly distancing themselves, Kody treating disagreements like acts of defiance, and the first 3 wives slowly giving up. It wasn't one event that cracked this family, it was a pattern. Years of Kody demanding loyalty while rarely giving it in return. Years of Robyn being shielded and prioritized while the original wives were left to fend for themselves. Silence became survival. To speak up was to be difficult. To question the rules was to not be committed. And the only person allowed to show real emotion? Kody. So when Christine walked away, when Janelle began to speak up, and when Mary finally ceased defending him, it didn't just shake the household, it exposed it. This family didn't fall apart overnight. It had been quietly crumbling, bit by bit, while everybody smiled for the cameras. And now, the truth is finally being spoken out loud. Christine leaving didn't just break the family, it shattered the illusion. And honestly, nobody saw this coming. Not even Kody. For years, Christine was the glue. She smiled through chaos and baked the birthday cakes, kept the traditions alive, tried to hold everyone together when no one else even dared make eye contact. But behind that smile, a storm was brewing. The day she did finally walk away, it was more than just a goodbye. It was a full-on power shift, and you could sense it the second she packed up a box of Kody's things and left it in the garage, like garbage to be collected. That moment didn't happen overnight. It was years in the making. Years of being dismissed, ignored, made to feel like an outsider in her own marriage. Remember when Christine told Kody she didn't want to stay in a marriage without intimacy? And he acted like she was asking for the moon, like wanting to feel loved was somehow too much. That wasn't just a relationship hiccup, that was a person finally waking up to her own worth. Christine's exit, it wasn't a tantrum, it was a reckoning. She chose peace over proximity, self-respect over sticking to a schedule that never honored her. And that decision shook the foundations of the family. Not just because somebody left, but because it proved something powerful. You could leave. You didn't have to stay silent just to be faithful. What really surprised them all, though, was how calm she was. No shouting, no spectacular breakdowns, just clarity. A woman who had been put aside for so many years stepped out of the woodwork finally and said, I deserve more than this. And the wildest part, she didn't just leave Kody. She walked away from the entire structure that had failed her for so long. Meanwhile, Robyn sat in that same room, looking like the rug had been pulled right out from under her throne. In Robyn's world, Christine wasn't just leaving, she was being rebellious. It was threatening the very system that worked in Robyn's favor more than with anyone else. Where Christine feels empowered by letting go, Robyn looks terrified, not just of the breakup, but what that means for her power. Because if one wife could leave, perhaps the others could too. She had spent years as the obedient one, the peacemaker, always positioning herself as the wife who simply wanted love and unity. When Christine made her move, Robyn didn't respond with empathy, she responded with fear. Because control only works if everyone plays along. And Christine, she stopped playing. We watched it play out in real time. Christine, radiant in interviews, laughing once more, reconnecting with her kids, literally looking younger. And Robyn, withdrawn, bitter, always on edge. The before and after was there for all to witness. For the first time, someone had called Kody's bluff and walked away stronger. It was like watching the entire family system get flipped on its head. And here's the thing, Christine wasn't trying to be dramatic. She wasn't out to stir the pot. She was done, and that in itself was radical. To quietly leave a structure you were told was sacred, it takes more strength than staying ever did. Her leaving seemed to light something off in the others. Janelle started asking more questions. Mary started breaking. And Kody Q started losing control, not just over the family, but over the story he'd been telling for years. Christine's peace was infectious, and for the first time in a long time, the other wives started wondering, maybe they too deserved that. Now let's go back. For a girl who claims to despise drama, Robyn seems to orbit right into the center of it every single time. And yet she is always the victim, always the one wiping away her tears while the rest of the family goes to pieces. But then if you look closely, you start seeing a pattern. Robyn has honed something very specific, emotional manipulation parroting as vulnerability. On the surface, she's sad, overwhelmed, heartbroken by family division. Look closer and notice how often her tears seem to come hard on the heels of someone daring to speak their truth. Christine leaves, Robyn cries. Janelle questions Kody, more tears. Mary stands up for herself. Cue Robyn, spotlighted in sorrow again. Here's the kicker. Those tears rarely come with accountability. They come with guilt. Robyn doesn't own mistakes, she absorbs attention. Robyn has this way of rebranding herself as the one holding it all together, when in reality, she's the one who benefited the most from the family breakdown. And let's talk about favoritism, because trust me, the fans noticed. From the moment she joined the family, Robyn wasn't just another wife, she was the wife. Kody spent more time at her house, offered her more support, and even legally divorced Mary to adopt her kids. And on screen, the other wives weren't guessing, they were living it. There's literally one scene that sums it all up. The family is discussing finances, and Janelle coolly points out she has no property in her name, 0 assets. Meanwhile, Robyn is living in the biggest house, with top-notch security, partly paid for with family money. And when this comes up, Robyn doesn't suggest fairness. Nope, she goes on the defensive. Suddenly, the conversation is about her sacrifices, her struggles, her victimhood. But let's be real, who's really struggling while sitting in a $1 million home? And then there were the house rules during COVID. Robyn's were stricter, and in large part, Kody simply followed her lead. The other wives were being sidelined, isolated, and in some cases, as in the situation with Janelle, not even visited for weeks. And what did Robyn do? She played it like she was just being careful, just protecting the family. But the fans saw right through that. She wasn't protecting health, she was protecting her access to Kody. And if that meant cutting off the other wives emotionally, so be it. It's this quiet control that drives people crazy. Robyn doesn't throw tantrums like Kody. She doesn't make threats. She's polite, soft-spoken, uses those sad eyes, but the effect is the same. Silence the other women and put herself at the center. And the cherry on top? She's constantly confused. I don't understand why they won't talk to me. I don't get all this tension. Really, Robyn? You don't get why Christine, after a decade with no intimacy, living in a palace with a fully present husband, feels left out? Or why Janelle is frustrated because she contributed financially to the family and then ended up with nothing? The truth is, Robyn has become a symbol of everything fans despise about the show's power imbalance. Yet she keeps presenting herself as the innocent observer. I just want the family back together, she says. But it's hard to believe that when she hasn't been the one losing anything. She had Kody, she had the resources, the emotional backup, while everybody else was left out in the cold. And here's the kicker. Robyn often says, I never wanted to be the favorite. But her actions, and what we see on TLC, tell a very different story. She's at the center of every group decision, dominates the confessionals, and when the other wives are hurting, she's rarely the one offering comfort. She stays silent, then later, in a solo interview, tears up, making it all about how she feels. Fans aren't blind. We have times like Maddie's wedding, when Robyn instantly becomes this voice of reason, as if she's narrating and being Maddie's guide. This would make sense if she joined the family when Maddie was still in middle school, but even that's not the case. Or when she speaks about family unity, excluding other kids from her home at dinner. The contradictions are just endless. And what makes it sting even more? For years, the other wives stayed silent to keep the peace. Christine bit her tongue. Janelle shied away from confrontation. Even Mary, after the catfishing scandal and years of emotional neglect, tried to make things work. Meanwhile, Robyn kept playing the role of the misunderstood saint. Never wrong, always misunderstood. But viewers remember the timeline. We remember the Vegas years, the Christmas rentals, the breakdowns, and we remember who always seemed to come out on top, even as the family crumbled, as if Robyn thinks she is fooling anyone with the innocent act. But what speaks volumes is her comfort in a house built on other women's heartbreak. Her tears don't conceal it, they mirror it. And whether she likes to admit it or not, her position within the family was never neutral. It was protected, elevated, kept safe, while the others were called to sacrifice. That's why the fans are frustrated. It is not about feelings, it is about fairness.